when you look at whether or not we have the best people, I think it's in doubt. So there's a lawsuit that was filed last year claiming that basically people that were highly qualified for FAA air traffic controller positions were not getting hired. There's 1,000 white males that had all the qualifications according to the lawsuit, and they couldn't get jobs. Now remember, like, they need people. They desperately need people at the FAA. They don't have enough controllers. One of the reasons, like, if we don't know all the information, but one of the reasons that people cite is this possibly being, you know, an issue with the FAA is that you only had one guy on duty and there should have been at least two. And I'm like, two? You mean they don't have like 20? Gee, that doesn't make me feel very good about when I'm in an airplane landing in the future. Like, that really doesn't make me feel very good. But like, why don't they have more employees? Why aren't they actually able to fill these jobs? Because apparently, according to this lawsuit, the people that are qualified are getting turned away, and they can't find enough people otherwise because, you know, for whatever reason, you got a lot of white males that are in this particular sphere, and they can't change that. So instead, you know, they're doing this big diversity push, and they want to hire people with, according to Fox News, this article came out literally, oh my gosh, this is like days ago, right? Days ago. People have been warning about this, by the way, for a while. Let me be very, very clear. And so they had this effort to bring in people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Like, what? For the FAA? Like, is that really the direction you guys want to go? Apparently, here's their big diversity push message that was put out by one Brad Mims under the Biden administration.
Hi, I'm Brad Mims, Deputy Administrator at the Federal Aviation Administration. We are looking for the best and brightest to join us as air traffic controllers. We need a diverse group of air traffic controllers to bring distinct perspectives.
I know it's hard to hear. I can't change that, so just turn up the volume just a little bit if you could.
To handle the ever-changing aerospace landscape. I'm calling on students and alumni from HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges to apply now to become air traffic controllers. I don't want anyone interested to miss out on this amazing career opportunity. Make sure you complete your full application during our application window. The short application window ends on May 8th. We need a diverse, next-generation air traffic workforce with people from all backgrounds. So apply now.
Maybe you just need people that can do the job. We talked about this yesterday. If you were to go out and say, okay, I'm a company or a government organization, and I need to hire people whose last name begins with a D, and I'm only gonna hire people whose last name begins with a D, what are you doing? You're limiting your pool. Like, you don't have as many people because you're only looking for people that have a last name that begins with a D. And so consequently, you get them in there and you're like, okay, this will work. I mean, maybe they're not perfect for the gig, but this will work. And you convince yourself, you convince the organization, you convince them, it'll work. But maybe it just wasn't meant to be. Maybe you're actually forcing it. Maybe they'd be better in a different gig. Okay, and maybe you ought to forget about hiring people with the last name that begins with the letter D and actually just hiring the best person. That's what matters, especially in a technical job like that. I mean, you can make the argument, right, in marketing and all these other things, but this is a pretty technical job. And yet, Biden, because, you know, he wanted to diversify the FAA, you know, when he was trying to put up a new head of the FAA, this is the guy that he recommended.
So, Mr. Washington, can you quickly tell me what airspace requires an ADS-B transponder?
Not sure I can answer that question right now.
That's okay. We'll just keep going. So that's a pretty important part. So what are the 6 types of special use airspace that protect this national security that appear on FAA charts?
Sorry, Senator, I cannot answer that question.
Okay, so what are the operational limitations of a pilot flying under basic med?
Senator, I'm not a pilot, so...
but obviously you'd oversee the Federal Aviation Administration, so any idea what those restrictions are under basic med, quickly?
Well, some of the restrictions I think would be high blood pressure. Some of them would be...
It's more like how many passengers per airplane, how many pounds in different categories, and what altitude you can fly under. So, and then amount of knots. It's under 250 knots. So it's not having anything to do with blood pressure. So can you tell me what causes an aircraft to spin or to stall?
Again, Senator, I'm not a pilot.
Okay, let's keep going. What are the 3 aircraft certifications the FAA requires as part of the manufacturing process? Quickly, please. 3 aircraft certifications.
Again, what I would say to that is that one of my first priorities would be to fully implement that Certification Act and report
You
back
know the
to
3
this
types,
committee.
Mr. Washington? The 3
No.
types? Okay. Yeah, that's type certificate, production certificate, and airworthiness certificate. Okay, all right. Let's just keep going, see if we can get lucky here. So can you tell me what the minimum separation distance is for landing and departing airliners during the daytime? Mr. Washington.
I don't want to guess on that, Senator.
Are you familiar with the difference between Part 107 and Part 44809 when it comes to unmanned aerial standards? Unmanned like drones, are you familiar with the difference?
Yes.
Okay, you know the difference between those 2, Part 44809 and Part 107? Do you know the difference there?
No, I cannot
That's okay.
spell that out.
So I almost actually had to cut that off because it's really painful, obviously, to watch. And he wound up 0 for 7. So then Ted Cruz got to him.
You ever flown a plane?
Thank you for the question, Senator. No, I have never flown a plane.
So you weren't a military pilot or a commercial airline pilot?
No, Senator.
Have you ever worked for an airline?
No, Senator.
Have you ever worked as an air traffic controller?
No, Senator.
You ever worked for a company that manufactures airplanes?
No, Senator.
You ever worked for a company that fixes airplanes?
No, Senator.
FAA administrator is a specialized position. I'm not qualified to be FAA administrator. I have no idea how to fly a plane. No one in their right mind would put me in charge of aviation safety because I don't have that experience. I suspect most of the members of this committee are in a similar position. The American people, when they think about aviation safety, when they think about, I played in this committee, a Southwest Airlines and FedEx plane almost colliding at Austin's airport. They want an FAA administrator who knows why those planes crash and knows how to fix it to keep them safe. And with all respect, Mr. Washington, it gives no comfort to the flying public that their pilot might be a transgendered witch, but doesn't actually know how to prevent the plane from crashing into the ground and killing them. I believe your record is woefully lacking. And in fact, you have 0 aviation safety experience.
My gosh, did he really say that, transgender witch? Look, I mean, it's like putting me as head of the FAA. Like, you know what? I got a lot of things I do well, but I know nothing, literally nothing about planes. I'd be the same way up there. I mean, I'm kind of looking at this guy and saying, okay, Mr. Washington, didn't you think that maybe this might be a little controversial since you really don't know what you're doing? Anyway, they put somebody else in. Thank goodness. But, it gets back to, why are we doing this? Shouldn't we just have the best people? Pete Hegseth, I love this. I'm going to play this clip again because he said it on Jesse's show the other night, and it's meaningful. I want you to hear this because he says diversity is not our strength. And guess what he says is?
What's happening with DEI? How's that going at the Defense Department?
Well, DEI is not going well at the Defense Department because it's dead. We will, as the president said in his inaugural, we will be merit-based and colorblind, and that is the case at the Defense Department. DEI is going to be ripped out root and branch because we want everyone treated equally with high standards and held accountable with warfighting, lethality, and readiness front and center. We don't have time for emphasizing differences. Jesse, one of the dumbest phrases in military history is our diversity is our strength. Our diversity is not our strength. Our unity and our shared purpose is our strength. And the Pentagon is excited to get back to that core mission. It's happening rapidly. The services are responding, and those that don't want to respond can work somewhere else. So diversity, equity, inclusion will not be a part of the Defense Department, not a minute long.
But you hear what he said, how unity is our strength? I think that's so true. Let's all try to get along together. Let's not keep just dividing. You know what? It's divide and conquer. I mean, that's what they've been trying to do. You know, that's exactly what the DNC is all about. Again, this lady.
Racism has not gone away since 20 people of African descent came upon these shores at Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, and it's going to require us to think and behave in a new way. It is systemic, it is structural when it comes to addressing.
You see, they're going to keep promoting this idea because this is their source of power. They keep telling people, you're down because of this reason and that reason. Well, I'm sorry. You know, when it comes to planes, when it comes to medical things, when it, you know, Wall Street tried this. Wall Street tried it. It didn't go so well. So guess what? They bailed on DEI. All these companies saying, no thanks, not working for me, right? Like, it's not working for shareholders. But it's a little different within the context of a Wall Street company versus stuff like this, right? And if you start making exceptions and saying, well, we're going to pass you along in medical school because we just need more diverse doctors, do you really think you want somebody who's not passing the tests in medical school to be operated on you? I don't think so. I mean, this shouldn't be that hard. Like, it's just not. And by the way, it is reverse, or not even. It's just discriminatory. It's actually discriminatory, not this one. This one, the fact that they're turning controllers away based solely on race is really, really, really disturbing. And you know what? As I read about this case, I was really shocked. I mean, it's very clear that they had their agenda. It sounds like it goes back to the Obama days. And because of that agenda, they weren't willing to actually entertain people who actually knew something about this and really could do the job. And think about that. I mean, that is really disturbing and really, really unsettling. This is one part of the lawsuit. Let me bring this into you so that you can see. Basically, they're saying that 20 years before the Obama era FAA, the Collegiate Training Initiative, known as CTI, is a program that graduated 100% of those who went on to work in their field. However, the aforementioned changes, the changes that they put in during the Obama years that they're talking about, to the hiring process meant that many of these graduates began to be passed over in favor of applicants who had only graduated high school. So imagine, like, you've gone to school for this, like, you're going to be, this is your career choice, you have all the training, but somehow somebody who's only gone to high school gets the gig and you don't, because of Obama's initiatives, which were then carried on by Biden. So it's a group of citizens that we represent. This is the lawyer talking, the thousands of people that didn't get the gigs. Their careers were derailed, their lives were upended, so it's important that we get justice for them, but obviously it's important in cases like this to highlight that, quote, these practices were going on in the federal government and they can still be going on in any agency in America. And so you're in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. They apparently created a new kind of test that basically would figure out effectively your race. And if you didn't check the boxes, you didn't get the gig. And that's messed up. I want to give a quick shout out for one of our great sponsors here on the program. And, you know, it just reminds me as we talk about education and schools and what people are doing, I want to just mention Grand Canyon University because it's a private Christian university out in Arizona. I love Arizona, by the way, in Phoenix, Arizona, which is where my uncle lives. We have to get him on the show one of these days because he's an economist. He used to run the economics department at the University of Connecticut, and I would love to have him on. So Uncle Will, if you're watching, we're going to bring you on one of these days, okay? He lives in Phoenix, Arizona, and this is where Grand Canyon University is. They believe that we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. At GCU, they believe in equal opportunity and that the American dream starts with purpose. Absolutely. GCU equips you to serve others in ways that promote human flourishing and create a ripple effect of transformation for generations to come. So by honoring your career calling, your impact, your family, your friends, and your community, you're honoring God and yourself. You can change the world by putting others before yourself and glorify God. Whether it's the pursuit of a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, GCU's online and on campus and hybrid learning environments are actually designed to help you achieve your unique academic, personal, and professional goals. So the pursuit to serve others is yours. Let it flourish. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. It's private, it's Christian, it's affordable. Visit gcu.edu.